Welcome the anointed ones. Stop scrolling for just a moment. This message didn't find you randomly. You weren't guided here by accident. I'm not here to entertain or comfort you with empty words. I'm here to deliver a revelation that your soul has been crying out for. You've been shielded from destruction. Not just once, not merely twice, but 3 distinct times. Yes, your earthly journey should have ended much sooner, but it didn't. Today, I'm going to reveal exactly why. But first, allow me to ask you something deeply personal. Have you ever stepped away from danger and thought to yourself, I should not have made it through that alive? Or have you experienced moments where an invisible force seemed to intervene, where reality itself seemed to bend and shift to protect you? Perhaps a vehicle came within millimeters of impact. Maybe you departed from a location just before violence erupted. Perhaps sickness threatened to consume you, yet you recovered without medical explanation. Or maybe the darkness within your own thoughts nearly consumed you, but somehow you found strength to endure. If any of these scenarios ignite something deep within your core, if you felt the cold breath of death pass by you yet still draw breath today, then listen with absolute attention. You are not an ordinary being. You are among the chosen. What I'm about to share has the potential to completely transform your understanding of your existence, your suffering, and your divine purpose. This encounter is no coincidence. This message located you because your spirit has reached a critical juncture where truth must pierce through the illusions. You've been sensing it already, haven't you? That knowing that something greater exists, something concealed beneath the surface, that your path has been more unusual than most, that you've escaped what others could not. That's not your imagination playing tricks. That's not mere fortune. That's divine intervention. Chosen souls walk a pathway marked by warfare in the unseen realms. The adversary attempted to claim you prematurely because it recognized what you were destined to become. But the source, the universe, the divine light, however you name it, intervened and declared, not this one, not yet. And here you remain. Allow me to speak boldly and directly. Your survival wasn't simply an act of mercy, it was strategic. Your departure was postponed because your destiny could not be canceled. Your spiritual mission is connected to events that haven't yet manifested. You were preserved because the grand design requires your presence. This world desperately needs what flows through you. The timing had to be precisely perfect, and it is. This is the exact moment when your remembering begins. Not your mind's recollection, but your soul's ancient memory. The reason you've been feeling that magnetic pull, that profound stillness before transformation, is because heaven's timeline is synchronizing with your awakening. The veil is now lifting. You've already survived what should have annihilated you. That's your confirmation. Now it's time to comprehend why. Before we journey deeper, I want you to take action. If this message already resonates as if it's speaking directly to your soul, comment 333 below. Let the spiritual dimensions witness that you're conscious and aware. Subscribe to this channel, Spirit of the Chosen, so you never miss a transmission meant for your awakening spirit. Activate the notification bell and share this with another soul who you recognize was preserved for something magnificent. Because this isn't solely about your journey. It's about all of us who were pulled from the precipice for divine reasons. Chosen soul, I don't care if the world labels you as delayed. Spirit declares you're perfectly timed. Your spiritual purpose has been safeguarded. Your destiny has been postponed but never canceled. Now you're about to remember your true identity and why death could never claim you. Let's begin. Chosen one, have you ever pondered how you're still present in this realm? How you navigated through circumstances that should have shattered you, eliminated you, or at minimum left you completely broken? You didn't survive purely through your own strength. You were covered, watched over, guarded by forces beyond the physical. This is divine protection. Divine protection isn't luck or random chance. It's not because you possessed superior intelligence or strength compared to others. It's because something higher, something beyond the material realm, placed its hand upon your existence and declared, "Not yet." You were not meant to transition in those moments because your purpose was still unfolding. Many chosen souls are born into environments that appear designed for their destruction. Dysfunctional families, dangerous communities, illness, trauma. The chaos begins early, almost as if life commences with a tempest. Yet even within those storms, invisible hands supported you. You might not have recognized it then, but examine your past carefully. There were close encounters, moments when everything should have collapsed catastrophically. But something shifted the circumstances, something intervened. That was divine protection. Divine protection is the spiritual covering placed over a soul-carrying assignment. When your existence has been marked for purpose, especially purpose that impacts others, awakens consciousness, or challenges darkness, you become a target, but you also become shielded. The universe, the divine, God, it doesn't send chosen ones into this reality unequipped. You are monitored from the moment of your arrival. You are known even before you become aware of yourself. Death has indeed attempted to claim you. Oh yes, it has tried, but it was denied access, not because you spoke the correct prayers or lived perfectly, but because your divine timeline didn't permit your exit. There are still missions dwelling within you. There are still souls you must heal and activate. There are still doorways you must open that only you possess the keys to unlock. Divine protection also operates through intuition, that inner guidance that whispers, "Don't venture there." The unexpected delay that frustrates you, only to discover later there was danger waiting. The last-minute change of plans that preserved your life. That wasn't coincidence. That was your spiritual team, your guardians, your protection fulfilling their sacred duty, keeping you aligned with your postponed destiny. Chosen one, the reason you continue escaping death isn't because death overlooked you. It saw you clearly. It made attempts. But divine order superseded its authority. You are not here accidentally. You remain alive because heaven has invested in your existence. When heaven invests, it protects. Even in your darkest moments when you felt abandoned, invisible, unworthy, there was still a barrier between you and total annihilation. You may have felt shattered, but something consistently stood between you and the final blow. You may have wept yourself to sleep, but something maintained its vigil. That is divine protection. Let me share something deeper. Protection doesn't always manifest as comfort. Sometimes it appears as pain, delays, isolation. But that isolation shielded you from certain traps. Those delays prevented wrong alignments. That pain developed your discernment. Protection isn't always gentle. Sometimes it's sharp and sacred and filled with holy fire, but it always guards your essence. So when you next think you survived by accident, remember there are no accidents for chosen souls. Only divine strategy. You didn't merely survive. You were spared. You were shielded. You were set apart. Now that you understand, it's time to walk like someone who has been covered by something greater because death already tested you and failed. Chosen one, let me transport you back to the first time death reached for you and missed its mark. You probably remained unaware of what was transpiring at that moment. You were too young, too distracted, too unconscious of the unseen realm. But the truth is, your life was under assault long before you realized you were chosen. This first escape wasn't merely physical, it was spiritual. A war was declared upon your soul the instant your spirit entered this dimension. Some of you faced attacks while still in the womb, complications during pregnancy, near miscarriages, birth trauma. Others were attacked in early childhood, sickness, accidents, abuse, mysterious illnesses that physicians couldn't fully comprehend. You may have thought these were simply part of life's experience, but they weren't. These were attempts to silence your light before it could fully emerge. Spiritual attacks often target those with profound callings early in life. Why? Because darkness doesn't wait for you to mature. It attempts to abort your mission before you discover your voice, before you even understand what spiritual purpose means. The adversary already perceives it glowing within your soul, so it moves swiftly. But divine protection moves with greater speed. Let me be crystal clear. This wasn't merely about physical harm. It was about spiritual assassination. The enemy doesn't fear your personality, it fears your destiny. It fears the power of your future voice, your future healing gifts, your future authority. So it attacked when you were defenseless. But even then, heaven intervened. You may not retain the details, but your spirit remembers everything. That near-fatal fever. That incident when someone entered just in time. Those night terrors that plagued you weekly as a child. That accident that appeared from nowhere. The unseen world attempted to extract you through fear, confusion, or premature illness. Yet you remain here. Why? Because your timeline couldn't be interrupted. Your contract with this earth hadn't expired. You were spiritually encoded to survive that initial attack because your spiritual purpose hadn't even begun to unfold yet. Divine protection surrounded you like an invisible cloak, even when no one around you comprehended who you were. Some of you were marked children. You were always different, sensitive to others' emotions, experiencing prophetic dreams, seeing shadows others couldn't perceive, feeling energies in rooms before anyone spoke. That wasn't imagination. It was your early awakening. That awakening made you a target, but it also rendered you untouchable. The spiritual attack failed not because it lacked force, but because heaven had already claimed you. This escape was your first sign, even if you didn't recognize it then. A moment when Spirit declared, "Not yet, not this one." It may have appeared as recovery, as simply getting better, as help arriving perfectly timed, but behind the scenes, angels were warring. Your ancestors were interceding. The energy surrounding you was shifting because death was being denied access to your soul. Here's something even deeper. This first escape activated something within you. It opened a portal. You may have noticed after that close call, your life felt different. You sensed things, saw signs, developed a rich inner world. That's because your near-death moment wasn't just an escape, it was an awakening, a spiritual recalibration. You didn't just walk away alive. You walked away touched, marked, watched. Chosen one, the first time death missed you, your path was sealed in light. You became a moving piece in the divine design. From that moment forward, nothing would ever be the same. So if you've ever wondered why life felt so intense from the very beginning, why everything was always heavier for you, know this. It's because you survived what others didn't, and not by accident. Comment 777 if this awakens a memory or a feeling you cannot explain, because your soul knows exactly what I'm speaking about. That first escape wasn't random. It was your spiritual initiation, and you were never the same again. Chosen one, the second time death reached for you, it didn't arrive through a car crash or physical illness. This time it came in silence. It came through despair. This was a spiritual assassination attempt from within, not against your body, but against your mind, your emotions, your will to continue existing. Perhaps you remember it clearly. Perhaps you've attempted to forget. But there was a period when the weight upon your soul became unbearable, when you were isolated, empty, exhausted in ways that sleep couldn't remedy. You didn't want to be here anymore. You may not have told anyone. You may have smiled externally, worked your job, laughed with friends, but deep inside something was dying. Hope was dying. The will to fight was dying. That was the real battle, and most people didn't even notice you were fighting it. This escape was spiritual, psychological, emotional, and just as deadly as any physical threat. The enemy saw that the first attack didn't eliminate you, so it changed tactics. It whispered lies. It planted seeds of self-hatred. It attempted to drain you with toxic relationships, endless anxiety, confusion about your identity. It fed you darkness disguised as numbness. For a while, you may have believed it. Some of you endured abusive situations that crushed your spirit. Others battled years of depression. Others were worn down by loneliness so profound it made the world feel like an empty shell. But still you survived. You made it through. Even if you were crawling, you emerged. This was not just survival, this was sacred resistance. Chosen one, do you realize how many people never return from that place? That dark night of the soul where nothing makes sense and everything feels artificial. Where you question your worth, your purpose, your very existence. Many remain trapped there, but you didn't. You were pulled out. Something reached into the pit and grasped you before you descended too far. It wasn't your own strength. It was divine protection. Your mental collapse didn't win because your spiritual purpose was stronger than your suffering. Even in your silence, heaven heard you. The tears that no one witnessed were recorded. The prayers you lacked words to express were understood. Angels don't wait for perfect speech. They move at the sound of broken surrender. There was a moment, maybe small, maybe hidden, when something shifted. A phone call came, a song played, a stranger offered kindness. Or maybe you simply awakened one day and felt slightly less heavy. That wasn't random. That was divine timing. That was light breaking through. Here's the truth that most people won't speak aloud. Emotional and mental pain are among the most dangerous attacks a chosen one will face. Because it has to convince you to surrender yourself. That's the strategy, not destruction, but disconnection. If it cannot kill you, it will attempt to silence you, numb you, make you believe that your light doesn't matter. But you didn't allow it. That's why you're still here. Your second escape was internal, and it revealed something powerful. Your mind is a battlefield, but it is also a throne. You have the ability to stand even when your soul is weary. You can break spiritual chains even in silence. When the enemy saw you still breathing, still rising, still praying through the pain, it realized something terrifying. You are not just chosen, you are unstoppable. So never minimize that season of survival. Never look back and feel weak about the time you almost surrendered because you didn't. You're here. That's why you're dangerous now. Because what should have killed your joy has only sharpened your wisdom. What tried to bury you actually built you, and your purpose just got louder. Chosen one, this third escape was different. This time the threat was immediate, real, physical. You saw it with your eyes or felt it in your body. It wasn't an emotional storm or silent mental collapse. It was a direct earthly danger that should have taken you out, but something happened. The moment twisted, time paused, and once again you survived. This was the kind of situation that makes people say, "You're lucky to be alive." But you and I both know it wasn't luck. It was divine protection stepping between you and something final. A vehicle missed you by inches. A surgery had complications, but you pulled through. You entered a space where violence erupted, but somehow walked away untouched. Maybe your body was wounded. Maybe you bled. Maybe you even lost consciousness. But you didn't lose your life. Something interfered with the final outcome. That something was not human. When a chosen one is marked by destiny, even death must ask for permission. This third escape was a moment when the natural and spiritual collided. You were in danger, no question about it. It wasn't theoretical. It was real. Flesh and blood, metal and bone. Your name could have been engraved on a tombstone, but it wasn't because the contract on your life had a clause, purpose not yet complete. That's why your timeline was protected. That's why your heart continued beating when doctors were uncertain. That's why you awakened after that accident, disoriented but alive. You might even look back now and think, I don't understand how I made it out of that. But your spirit knows. It remembers the force field of light that surrounded you, the hand that caught you when the world let go. You see, when your spiritual purpose is still active, death cannot override destiny. The chosen one walks with unseen protection. Your physical body may seem fragile, but your assignment carries power. The energy around you bends moments, delays tragedies, and rearranges sequences so that you are never in the wrong place at the wrong time. Even when it appears you still escape. This is the kind of escape that leaves you speechless. You replay the memory repeatedly, trying to make sense of it. Maybe you became angry afterward or deeply emotional. That's normal because something in your soul knew how close it was. You tasted death and then tasted breath again. Don't minimize that moment. Don't dismiss it saying, "It just wasn't my time." That phrase is true but incomplete. It wasn't your time because your destiny had not been fulfilled. It wasn't your time because someone still needs your voice, your healing, your presence. It wasn't your time because heaven had an intervention planned for the exact second things went wrong. Some of you have physical scars that tell this story. Others have none, just memories that feel too heavy for words. Either way, the truth remains the same. You were saved. You were caught mid-fall. You were yanked from the mouth of destruction like someone pulling a soul out of fire. Now that you've walked through that door and returned, you carry something different. You're not like the rest anymore. You've crossed through an invisible threshold. You've danced on the line between life and death and returned with clarity in your eyes. That's why people stare at you sometimes without knowing why. That's why animals sense you. Why your aura feels electric in certain spaces. Because you carry the residue of survival, not just survival, divine escape. So don't hide your story. Share it. Even if people don't understand it, your spirit will recognize who needs to hear it. Because someone out there is on the edge right now, and your testimony is their lifeline. The physical threat was real. The danger was undeniable, but heaven was faster. Chosen one, this was not the last time death will come close, but it will never come closer than divine permission allows. You've been spared for something extraordinary. Your next chapter begins with a truth no one can take away from you. You were saved on purpose for purpose. Chosen one, let's bring the truth into complete focus. You didn't just survive once. You didn't just escape death twice. You were spared 3 times and possibly more. Each escape wasn't just mercy, it was design, divine timing, a cosmic strategy written before you were even born. Here's the reason that ties them all together. Your purpose was greater than your pain. Every delay was divine. The first time death tried to take you, it was premature. Your spirit hadn't yet awakened. You were being formed, molded, and shielded. The enemy came for you in childhood or youth to kill the seed before it could take root. But heaven said, this one has a purpose, not yet. The second time, the collapse came from within. Emotional, mental, spiritual warfare. You were inches from surrendering to the void. You may have questioned your worth, even wished you could leave, but your purpose whispered louder than your pain. You couldn't see your own light, but the divine could. The thread that held you together was the same thread tied to your destiny. Then came the third, a physical encounter with danger. Real, raw, undeniable, something that should have ended your life and didn't because your breath still has work to do. Your hands still have healing to offer. Your voice still has awakening to release into the world. Your presence, chosen one, is needed here more than ever. All 3 moments of escape weren't random. They were synchronized interventions. Your soul signed a contract in the heavenly realm, a sacred agreement. I will go. I will awaken. I will carry this light no matter the storm. That agreement marked you. The delays in your death were not denials of reality. They were affirmations of assignment. This is why the pain didn't destroy you. Not because it wasn't real, it was, but because it was not the end. Your life is not defined by trauma, it's refined by it. Your purpose is not born in comfort, it's forged in fire. Now, with each escape behind you, you carry weight in the spirit that no one else can replicate. You're different now, you've seen what others fear. You've heard the silence that speaks just before your time is up. Yet your heart kept beating. That's not weakness. That's evidence. Evidence that heaven still needs you here. Evidence that your spiritual purpose is greater than anything you've lost. Evidence that your delayed destiny is not forgotten. It's being protected until the appointed moment. Some people spend their entire lives trying to discover if they're chosen. You don't have to wonder. You have the proof written in your timeline, marked by near-death escapes and impossible survivals. The pain didn't happen to punish you. It happened to prepare you. Now you must carry the awareness that every breath you take has meaning. You've been delayed for a reason, and the reason is sacred. Chosen One, comment 777 below if you know deep in your bones that something greater is calling you, that you were meant for more, that all of this had a reason because it did. Your survival was not random. It was a message from heaven. You're not finished. The world still needs what I placed inside you. Now it's time to rise. Chosen One, when you escape death, something shifts in you forever. You don't just walk away with a story. You walk away with an imprint, a spiritual upgrade, a vibration that wasn't there before. These near-death moments are not just about survival. They're about unlocking what was hidden inside you all along. Every close call etched something into your soul. You may not have seen it immediately, but afterward your vision changed. Your intuition sharpened. Your sensitivity to people, energy, emotions, all of it intensified. Why? Because near-death experiences break the illusion of this physical world. They tear the veil just enough for your spirit to peek through. Once you've glimpsed what's on the other side, you can never return to sleep. Surviving a spiritual attack, a mental collapse, or a physical threat opens the gate to spiritual gifts that were dormant before. You begin to feel when something isn't right, not because of logic, but because your soul flinches. You see through lies without effort. You hear things others don't say. You walk into a room and know the atmosphere before anyone speaks. That's not imagination. That's the residue of divine encounters. When death misses you, heaven marks you. You might have started noticing patterns, repeating numbers, prophetic dreams, strange synchronicities. You might feel people's true intentions even when they smile. You may have a deeper pull toward healing, teaching, or protecting others. These aren't random changes. These are spiritual activations triggered by your escape. Near-death moments act like spiritual keys. They open doors to clarity, insight, and connection with the unseen. Chosen One, you're not the same person you were before the attacks. That's intentional. What you went through burned off your distractions. Your spirit got lighter. Your awareness got louder. The distractions that once fooled you now irritate you. The fake people who used to blend in now repel you. That's your new frequency. You've stepped into alignment with your assignment. Not everyone will understand this change. Some will say you're too intense or too quiet now. That's fine. You're not meant to fit where you once survived. Your spirit has been upgraded because your calling has been clarified. You've gone through the fire and now you carry the flame. Near-death escapes also unlock courage. You may not feel fearless all the time, but something in you knows you've already faced what most people are terrified of. And you lived. You felt the breath of death and still walk with breath in your lungs. That kind of knowing gives you boldness, a holy confidence. A silent strength that doesn't need to prove itself. Here's something sacred. After each escape, the divine starts speaking to you more clearly. You hear instructions. You feel guided. You sense divine presence in quiet moments. That's because you've proven you're ready. You've walked close enough to the edge that your heart is tuned to higher frequencies. Now you're not just living, you're listening. So don't ignore the gifts, don't dismiss the visions, the instincts, the deep inner knowing. They were unlocked in you for a reason. You are not here to just exist. You're here to move with spiritual precision. Your near-death escapes didn't just save your life. They initiated you. They activated you. Now it's your time to use it. Chosen one, if you've ever looked at your life and thought, I should be further along by now, this is for you. That feeling of delay, of being out of sync with others, of constantly being almost there but never quite arriving, it's not failure. It's not laziness. It's the sign that you're walking in a delayed destiny, and that delay is divine. Delayed destiny isn't a punishment. It's a form of protection. It's what happens when heaven holds you back just long enough to align everything in your favor. You weren't denied your purpose. It was simply postponed until you were ready, until the world was ready for you, until the moment your spirit had enough wisdom to handle what your calling requires. One of the first signs is the sense of being out of place or out of time. You've always felt older than your age. People your age seem focused on things that feel meaningless to you. While others chase the spotlight, you've been walking through shadows, preparing. Deep down, you've always known you were meant for more, even if you couldn't explain why. Another sign, cycles that repeat until you break free. You've probably felt stuck more than once in jobs, relationships, or situations that drained you. It felt like you kept being reset, like your progress would build and then suddenly vanish. That wasn't failure. It was refinement. Spirit doesn't let chosen ones rise with unhealed wounds. Every delay was a detour back to your soul's healing. You might also notice your growth happened in silence. While others celebrated achievements publicly, your transformation was hidden. People didn't see the battles you fought, the spiritual awakenings, the breakdowns that led to breakthroughs. Because delayed destiny happens in the dark. It's a private becoming before the public revealing. You've also experienced divine disconnection. People left your life suddenly. Doors closed that you were sure were meant for you. Plans fell apart. These were not rejections. These were reroutes. The wrong connections were removed so the right ones could find you at the right time. One of the clearest signs is the speed of your growth. Once the delay begins to lift, you start to accelerate. Things that once took you years now happen in months. Alignment begins to flow. Your gifts sharpen. Your energy attracts different people. It's like your spirit is catching up to where it was always meant to be. And still, you carry a holy frustration, that inner knowing that you're behind, but not by your own doing. That tension between what you've lived through and what you know you're called to. That's the hallmark of a chosen one with a delayed timeline. The soul knows exactly where it should be, even when the body hasn't arrived yet. Don't resent the delay. It's evidence that your calling is so significant it had to be protected. Spirit didn't want your gifts corrupted by premature exposure. You were hidden for a reason, not because you weren't ready to be seen, but because the world wasn't ready to see you clearly. So if this is you, know this: you are not lost. You are not late. You are on a sacred countdown. When your time comes, everything will unfold quickly, precisely, and with power. You are walking in a delayed destiny, but not for long. Your moment is approaching, and the world will not be the same once you fully arrive. Chosen one, you were never an ordinary soul. From the very beginning, there was something different about you, not just in the physical, but in the spiritual realm. The enemy saw it before you did. That's why you were targeted early. Not because you were weak, but because you were dangerous to darkness. When you were born, your light disturbed the atmosphere. Your presence stirred something in the unseen realm. While others entered the world quietly, you arrived with spiritual weight. You carried codes, frequencies, gifts, and divine blueprints that hell could detect. Even if you were too young to understand it, the enemy did. That's why it moved quickly. Before you even spoke your first words, your future was already being watched. The enemy doesn't wait until you grow up to attack. It strikes early. It tries to plant trauma in childhood, confusion in your identity, fear in your spirit. Why? Because if it can scar you early, it hopes to silence your calling before it can bloom. Some of you experienced intense pain before you were even old enough to fight back. Emotional abandonment, physical danger, abuse, neglect. You weren't born into safety. You were born into war. That's not random. That's a sign. Chosen ones are rarely born into ease. They are born into resistance because their purpose disrupts patterns. Your very existence threatened the system. The enemy saw what you were meant to become, a healer, a leader, a breaker of generational curses, a vessel of awakening. That kind of purpose is disruptive. It doesn't just bless your life. It changes the lives of others. Anything that threatens to wake people up will always be attacked. So it tried to destroy you early. It tried to confuse your mind. It sent people into your life to break your spirit. It offered distractions, addictions, self-doubt, and endless chaos. Not because it didn't believe in you, but because it did. Because it saw your potential more clearly than you did. It feared who you would become if you ever found out the truth. But here's the part that should shake the realm. All of that effort, all of that spiritual warfare, and still you're here. You didn't die. You didn't lose your mind. You didn't forget who you are. In fact, every attack just confirmed what heaven already knew. You are chosen, covered, and powerful. The very fact that the enemy came after you so hard is proof that you carry something that can't be replicated or replaced. Chosen one, the enemy is not afraid of who you were. It's afraid of who you're becoming. Despite everything, you are still becoming, still rising, still awakening. That's why the battle has felt relentless. That's why the resistance doesn't let up. Because your spiritual purpose is still active and your delayed destiny is still on schedule. You've already overcome what many didn't. Now you're stepping into the awareness that you're not here to play small or stay silent. You're here to do damage to the dark. You're here to tear down strongholds, to speak truth, to bring healing where others only saw ruin. So never question why you were attacked so early. It's because your light was noticed. Your voice was dangerous. Your future was loud. Even though they tried to stop you, heaven refused. You are not a survivor by chance. You are a warrior by design. Now that you know the reason you were targeted, walk like someone who's already won. Because in the spirit you have. Chosen one, now that you know why you were targeted and how you escaped death more than once, it's time to discuss what comes next. Survival is just the beginning. Awakening is the turning point. But protection, intentional, daily spiritual protection, is what sustains you from this point forward. You can no longer afford to move through life unconsciously. Your light is too loud now, your vibration too high. You've been noticed in the spirit. So the same way warriors prepare for battle, you must now live with spiritual awareness, not fear awareness. Because awareness is your armor. Spiritual protection doesn't mean hiding. It means aligning. It means being in tune with what strengthens you and staying far from what drains you. You've already seen how your energy reacts to certain people and places. Listen to that. Your body knows, your spirit speaks. That uneasiness, that random exhaustion around certain people, that sudden heaviness in a room, that's not imagination. That's discernment. That's your internal protection system warning you. The first way to guard yourself is to honor your energy. You're no longer someone who can carelessly expose yourself to chaos, gossip, low vibrations, or environments that numb your soul. You are sensitive for a reason. That sensitivity is a gift. Now it's your shield. Protect your peace like it's sacred ground, because it is. Chosen ones must also become selective about who they allow access to their presence. Not everyone deserves to sit at your table. Just because someone is close to you doesn't mean they're aligned with you. Some people carry spiritual residue that clouds your clarity. Others unconsciously drain you because they haven't done the work you've done. That's not judgment, it's spiritual responsibility. You're not better than them, you're just carrying a different weight now. Weight requires boundaries. Another layer of protection is spiritual discipline, meditation, prayer, fasting, journaling, silence. These are not just practices. They are your weapons. They cleanse your field. They bring your frequency back into divine alignment. You don't do them to be religious. You do them because you understand warfare. You know what it feels like when your energy is off. You've seen what happens when you let your guard down. Never forget that your spirit thrives on consistency. It doesn't need perfection, just presence. There will be times when attacks try to return doubt, distraction, temptation, sudden chaos. But now you know what to look for. You've been trained by your experiences. You've been taught by your pain. You're no longer available to anything that pulls you away from your purpose. Also remember, your words carry power. Speak life over yourself. Declare protection over your mind, your body, your path. The spiritual realm responds to the voice of the aware. You've already seen how your thoughts shape reality. Now use that knowledge intentionally. Your declarations aren't just positive thinking, they're spiritual commands backed by divine authority. Create sacred space wherever you go. Some chosen ones carry crystals, others prayer beads, others simply carry conscious intention. The tool doesn't matter, the awareness does. You understand now that you don't just occupy physical space, you influence spiritual atmosphere. Walk into rooms knowing that your presence shifts energy. Carry yourself like someone who has been touched by the divine. Trust your first instinct about everything. People, opportunities, decisions, relationships. Your spirit has been sharpened by survival. That inner knowing that whispers yes or no before your mind can analyze, that's not fear talking. That's wisdom earned through fire. Honor it. Your intuition has already saved your life multiple times. Now let it guide your choices. But here's what's most important. Understand that protection isn't just about keeping negativity out. It's about keeping your light burning bright. The enemy's ultimate goal was never just to kill your body. It was to dim your spirit, to make you forget who you are, to convince you that your gifts don't matter. Every time you choose healing over bitterness, truth over comfort, courage over safety, that's spiritual protection in action. You're not the same person who almost died those 3 times. You've been refined, awakened, activated. The attacks that were meant to destroy you actually prepared you. Now you move differently. You choose differently. You love differently. You protect what matters and release what doesn't. Chosen one, all of this protection, all of these delays, all of these escapes were preparing you for this moment. Your assignment is no longer dormant. It's active. Heaven has been waiting for you to remember who you are, to heal from what tried to break you, to step into the awareness of your calling. That time is now. Your assignment isn't separate from your pain, it's forged by it. Every wound you've healed, every lie you've overcome, every death you've escaped has equipped you for what you're meant to do. You didn't survive just to live a quiet life. You survived to be a living testimony. You survived to be a bridge for others who are where you once were. Some of you are called to be healers, not necessarily with your hands, but with your presence, your words, your story. Others are called to be teachers, leaders, voices that speak truth when others stay silent. Some are called to break generational curses in your family lines. Others to awaken consciousness in your communities. Your specific assignment is written in your experiences. Look at what you've overcome, that's your area of authority. The timing is no coincidence. The world is in a season of awakening, and awakened souls are needed now more than ever. People are tired of fake. They're hungry for real. They're desperate for someone who has walked through hell and can show them the way out. That's you. That's your qualification, not your education, not your connections, your survival. Your assignment will not look like anyone else's. Don't compare your path to others who seem to be moving faster or achieving more. Their timeline is not your timeline. Your delays were strategic. You needed every year, every experience, every breakdown and breakthrough to become who you are right now. This moment, this awareness, this readiness, this is divine timing. But understand this, with assignment comes responsibility. You can no longer hide behind your trauma. You can no longer use your pain as an excuse to stay small. Yes, you've been hurt. Yes, you've survived hell. But you also carry heaven now. You've been entrusted with something that others need. That's not pressure, that's purpose. Your assignment will require courage. It will require you to speak when it's uncomfortable, to move when you can't see the whole path, to trust when logic says wait. But you've already proven you can do hard things. You've already proven you can walk through fire. Now you're being asked to carry that flame to others. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs the original version of you, battle-tested, spirit-refined, divinely protected. Your scars are not your shame. They're your credentials. Your story is not your secret. It's your ministry. Your survival is not your luck. It's your assignment. Comment ready below if you feel it stirring in your spirit. That knowing that it's time, that you can't stay hidden anymore, that your purpose is calling you forward. Heaven is waiting for you to say yes. Not to perfection, not to having it all figured out, but to stepping into what you were preserved for. Your delayed destiny is about to unfold. Your assignment is active. Now the question is, are you ready to walk in it? Chosen one, there's a shift happening in your life right now. Can you feel it? The season of preparation is closing. The time of hiding, healing in private, and growing in silence is coming to an end. Your public season, the time when your light can no longer be contained, is beginning. You've been in the wilderness long enough. You've processed the pain, learned the lessons, developed the gifts. You've been refined by fire, tested by trials, and proven by survival. All of that was preparation for this moment when you step out of the shadows and into your calling publicly. This doesn't mean you have to become famous or build a platform. Public doesn't always mean visible to the masses. Sometimes it just means visible to the people heaven wants you to reach. Sometimes your public is your family, your workplace, your community. But whatever the scale, the shift is the same. You can no longer afford to hide who you really are. The hiding served its purpose. It protected you while you were becoming. It kept you safe while your gifts were developing. It gave you space to heal, to learn, to prepare. But now, continuing to hide would be disobedience. Continuing to play small would be a waste of what you've overcome. Your public season will feel uncomfortable at first. You've grown accustomed to moving in silence, to keeping your gifts private, to sharing your truth only with a select few. But now you're being called to expand that circle. Now you're being asked to let your light shine where others can see it, benefit from it, be changed by it. This transition will require courage. People will notice the change in you. Some will celebrate it, others will question it. Some might even resist it because your awakening challenges their sleep. But you're no longer living for their approval. You're living for assignment. Your gifts were never meant to be hoarded. Your wisdom was never meant to be hidden. Your testimony was never meant to be private. You were given these experiences, these insights, these spiritual abilities so that you could pour them out for others. That's how the divine multiplies impact through vessels who are willing to be used. The enemy fought so hard to silence you because it knew this day was coming. It knew that once you stepped into your public season, your influence would expand. Your voice would carry weight. Your presence would shift atmospheres. That's why it tried to stop you early. That's why it attacked your confidence, your worth, your sense of purpose. It was trying to prevent this very moment. But you're here anyway. Despite every attack, every setback, every moment when you wanted to quit, you're here. That means heaven's plan for your life is stronger than hell's plan against it. That means your assignment is locked, loaded, and ready to launch. Your hiding season is over. Your healing season has prepared you. Your public season starts now. Don't wait until you feel fully ready. Don't wait until you have all the answers. Don't wait until the fear disappears. Step out anyway, speak up anyway, show up anyway. Because the world is waiting for what only you can bring. Comment activated below if you feel the shift, if you know it's time to step out, if your spirit is saying no more hiding. Because chosen one, your moment has arrived. The time of preparation is complete. Your assignment is calling you forward into the light. Chosen one, let me leave you with this truth that will change how you see yourself forever. Every attack that missed its mark didn't just fail, it backfired. Every trauma that tried to break you actually strengthened you. Every moment when death reached for you and found empty space has turned you into something the darkness never expected. A living, breathing, walking weapon of divine light. You think you survived by luck. No, you were forged. You think you escaped by chance. No, you were shaped by storms. You think you're just grateful to be alive. No, you're dangerous to everything that thrives in darkness, and now you know why you were targeted so relentlessly. The enemy saw your potential before you did. It saw the weapon you would become, not a weapon of destruction, but of healing, awakening, restoration. A weapon that fights with love, speaks with truth, moves with purpose. That's why it tried to stop you. That's why death kept reaching and missing. Because heaven was forging something that hell could never replicate. Every tear you cried became fuel. Every scream that no one heard became power. Every moment you wanted to quit but didn't became unshakable strength. You are not weak because you've been wounded. You are deadly because you've been trained by pain and graduated to purpose. Now when you walk into rooms, darkness trembles. Now when you speak truth, lies scatter. Now when you offer healing, broken things become whole. That's not random. That's the result of surviving what should have killed you and using it to bring life to others. The world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be powerful. And power comes from knowing who you are, why you're here, and what you carry. You carry the authority of the overcomer. You carry the wisdom of the tested. You carry the light of the preserved. Stop calling yourself lucky. You are chosen. Stop calling yourself broken. You are built. And your time of hiding is over. Because chosen one, this is your moment. This is your time. This is your assignment. You were preserved for such a time as this. Remember to subscribe to Spirit of the Chosen and activate notifications so you never miss the messages meant for your spirit. Share this with another soul who needs to remember who they really are. Your testimony could be the key that unlocks someone else's destiny.